Part 65. The Strongest Assassin in the Server. Author, B.A. Wangshi-san. Chapter 641. It is true that Yechen has more than a dozen godheads, but there are only a few of them. Dark Origin Godhead exploded by killing the 5-clawed black dragon. Light Origin Godhead exploded by killing the 9-headed snake. Fire Origin Godhead exploded by killing the Dragon Prince in Hell mode. Power Origin Godhead exploded by killing the East China Sea Dragon King in Hell mode. There are only these 4. In addition, the Dark Origin Godhead has been swallowed and refined by the Abyss Demon. The Abyss Demon is completely lucky and has mastered the law of dark elements. There are only 3 original Godheads left. To be honest, even if Jian Wuhan is the sword, Yechen will not give them away easily. Is it selfish? Or is it justice? Because Yechen is the strongest, he has to use all resources first to become stronger. If he succeeds, he will dominate the whole server. If he fails, he will take a step back and stick to the justice of the Chinese theater. Yechen does not deny that both are true. Because in the current situation, selfishness and so-called justice are basically the same thing. Jian Wuhan is Yechen's comrade in arms. He knows and understands Yechen. At this time, he will not ask Yechen for the precious original godhead. If he only devours ordinary godheads to become a god, it will only increase strength, physical strength, intelligence, spirit, and agility by 10,000 points each. Light, darkness, fire, and ice attributes are enhanced by 1,000 points, and resistance is increased by 5,000 points. This increase is much greater than that of the Dragon Ball. But compared with the power of faith, it seems insignificant. Yechen, and Xiaoro's sister, I am not in a hurry to become a god. Your time storm is cooling down, and you don't have to rush to help me. It's better to stay and deal with some emergencies to be safe, Jian Wuhan said sincerely. For a while, everyone was in awe. Dr. Byron has already gone to the god's trial field. He went there as a higher god, and he must have crushed all the way. I'm afraid he can become a god in less than 10 minutes. Although everyone is eager to open up Wanghai, they can't wait even 10 minutes. By the way, everyone, I just got the news 2 days ago that many forces have already made their debut in Wanghai. Monkey suddenly smiled and said, there are also 3 major forces in our Chinese theater, namely Wuzui's team, the left-hand Hell, the right-hand Heaven Demon Elite Group, and Shidu and others. Oh? Has Wuzui come to Wanghai? He is upgrading very quickly. Yechen was slightly stunned. He had heard about Wuzui's return to the dream world a long time ago, but he is no longer the same as before, so he naturally won't pay too much attention to his former defeated opponent. What's more, Wuzui has been very low-key since his return, so he is even less interested. And now, Wuzui has actually arrived in Wanghai, at least at the 80th level of the Holy Land. You know, Yechen heard the news of Wuzui's return to the dream world when he was over level 70, and it has only been 2 or 3 months as of today, and Wuzui has actually risen from level 0 to the 80th level of the Holy Land. This speed is indeed incredibly fast. Haha, he's not as fast as me. When you were at level 80, I stole the judge's pen and was punished to level 0 by those damn gods, but now I'm level 92 again, Sun Yang said suddenly, and he was quite proud of it. Hearing this, everyone glanced at Sun Yang with pain. Being killed back to level 0 many times, in this guy's eyes, has it become something to be proud of? It's difficult to upgrade in Fantasy World, but there is one thing that is easy to use, that is, slaying monsters at higher levels will not only not deduct experience, but can get very high experience bonuses. Wuzui is also an old man, and it's not surprising that he has such a high upgrade efficiency. The King of Shang made a final summary, which made everyone nodded, and then changed the subject and stopped talking about Wuzui. The Chinese theater starting from the East China Sea is us, the British theater starting from the South China Sea, the American theater starting from the West China Sea, and the German theater starting from the North China Sea. In addition to these 4 ace forces, the many forces that have entered Wanghai now are all in groups of 2. Monkey continued like a military advisor. Humph, in front of a giant dragon, an ant is an ant, and a pile of ants is also an ant. Sun Yang snorted coldly. Ye Chen also smiled knowingly. Nowadays, his strength, or power, is first class even among the title kings. Except for the American team led by John, Ye Chen still needs to be cautious, and he doesn't care much about the rest of the strength. As Sun Yang said, in front of a giant dragon, a pile of ants is also an ant. In the later stage of Dream World, it is difficult to open up the gap between players, but once it is opened, it is a very huge gap. 10 minutes passed quickly while Ye Chen and others were chatting. A flash of white light appeared, and Dr. Byron appeared in front of them with great satisfaction. Needless to say, he had obviously succeeded. Dr. Goblin, Byron, Lower God. Level 100. Warzone, China. Faction, Light. Military rank, Colonel. Title, Dr. Goblin, the name of God. HP, 20 megabytes / 20 megabytes. Skills. Law, none. God's clone, none. Congratulations, Dr. Zaoshian. Seeing Dr. Byron's joyous return, everyone congratulated him. Dr. Byron's green old face was flushed with excitement and joy. Lord Ye Chen, as you expected, after I became a god, my technology has reached a new level. Dr. Byron looked at Ye Chen with some gratitude, and said confidently, now I can build a god-level base that is 10,000 times more powerful than the steel base. That's great, just ask for any materials you need. Ye Chen was also slightly excited. As for the materials, I can get them myself, Lord Ye Chen, at most 3 days, the first god-level base will be delivered to you. Dr. Byron was ecstatic, muttering to himself and dancing excitedly, and finally turned into a white light and disappeared in front of everyone. Obviously, he teleported back to the Chinese war zone and went to do his own research. Ye Chen was not surprised, Dr. Byron's personality was like this, and he didn't care. Also, although Dr. Byron became a god, his combat power was not very high. Ye Chen never thought of keeping him to help, which would be a waste of talent. For someone like Dr. Byron, as long as he is provided with resources and a good research environment is created, his value can be maximized. Let him participate in the war. If he accidentally dies on the battlefield, Ye Chen will be depressed to death. Okay guys, in 3 days, Dr. Byron will be able to mass-produce god-level bases. Now let's start the journey to dominate the whole server. Ye Chen waved his hand, and the whole army roared, naturally with the demeanor of a general. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 642. At the average speed of the Saint Domain strongmen, Ye Chen led the team from Dinosaur Island, and it took 3 hours to reach the next island. It can be seen that the scope of Wanghai is so large and the distance between islands is so far. Ye Chen roughly calculated that if he went around Wanghai, it would take at least half a month. Tisk tisk, this is such a waste of time. From here, we can see the importance of the base. As long as there is a base, you can teleport freely and go wherever you want. I don't know how much time can be saved. Of course, ordinary high-level bases are not good. Wanghai is too dangerous. No matter where the high-level base is built, any super saint can crush it with one foot. It is precisely because of this that Ye Chen is so obsessed with the god-level base. With a god-level base, he will not have any worries, and he can conquer it at will and fulfill his dream of dominating the entire server. The island that Ye Chen and others just arrived at is much smaller than Dinosaur Island, and the rock area occupies most of the island. On the rocky ground, there were countless rock giants walking around with alert expressions as if on patrol. Giant Rock Saint Soldier, World Sanctuary. Level 99. HP, 1.2 trillion / 1.2 trillion. Skills. Ye Chen glanced at the attributes of the giant rock saint soldier with disdain in his eyes, while the abyss demon had already swooped out, leaving a trail of after-images at such a fast speed, and then the giant rock saint soldier groaned and fell to death in large numbers. They were all super saints, but the items dropped after death were not rich. Because in Wanghai, super saints are just little monsters. Forget it, don't waste time on the abyss demon. Let's search. If there are divine beasts, we will fight them. If there are no divine beasts, we will retreat and quickly open up the next island, Ye Chen said in a deep voice. At this point, it is completely meaningless to fight these little monsters. Only gods or divine beasts are worth killing. Yeah, the abyss demon nodded, and turned back with a move. For him, it doesn't matter if he kills a god or a super saint, so it doesn't matter at all. So, Ye Chen led the team to continue to move forward and fly towards the center of the island. Although this rock island is not as huge as Dinosaur Island, it is not small either, with a length of more than 100,000 meters. Unlike Zhihaixia, Ye Chen can get a glimpse of the whole island by simply placing a detection device. For this rock island, at least 100 detection devices are needed. This is why Ye Chen said that detection devices and teleportation devices are not enough. Of course, Wanghai, although super saints are everywhere, divine beasts are still quite rare. If you kill a divine beast first, it will also trigger a world broadcast and get rich rewards such as skill points. In other words, the divine beast in Wanghai is considered a boss. According to the rules, the boss is usually in the most prosperous area, so Ye Chen first goes to the center of the island and then places a detection device to check, which is definitely right. At the same time, it will also save a little detection device. A few minutes later, the team had not yet reached the center of the island, but Ye Chen raised his hand and called for a stop because he found someone below. Everyone was slightly startled, and looked down along Ye Chen's gaze, only to see that on the bare rocky ground, there were some huge rocks standing in rows, and faintly surrounded a concave nest. There was a group of people hiding in the concave nest. The giant rock saint soldiers outside the concave nest seemed to be unable to see them, and they were still patrolling aimlessly. And they sent thieves out to lead a giant rock saint soldier into the concave nest, and the large army attacked. In this way, they led in one giant rock saint soldier after another and killed them. This was the so-called stuck monster. Wanghai was too dangerous, and there were super saints everywhere. Ye Chen certainly didn't care, but ordinary teams still had a lot of pressure when facing super saints. To be on the safe side, they could only use this most primitive method to kill monsters. Damn it, it's obviously a super saint, why is the profit so little? I killed hundreds of giant rock saint soldiers, why didn't I see even a holy rank or a holy weapon? This team was the Japanese and Russian coalition led by Arthur, Leon, and Jinggyuji. At this moment, it was Arthur who spoke and cursed. They came from the East China Sea. Super saints are very rare in the East China Sea, but the explosion rate is extremely high. Killing 3 or 5 of them casually can explode a holy rank or a holy weapon. When they arrived in Wanghai, super saints were as numerous as dogs. They had to deal with them carefully and could only use the method of card monsters to slowly brush them. But the explosion rate was too low, which made him unbearable. Damn it, I am the master of war. Without a large army, it is difficult to exert my strength, Arthur cursed in frustration. He led the team to Wanghai and was very happy to find so many super saints. Because super saints can easily produce saint grids, he can quickly train 20,000 saint domain subordinates, so that his professional advantages can be fully utilized. But the reality disappointed him. He had been in Wanghai for several days, and had scoured countless super saints, but only obtained a mere 5 saint grids. This efficiency is even worse than that of Donghai. But even though he complained, his body was still very honest and continued to swipe monsters. Zhao Zaiqian.cm It was not easy to come to Wanghai, and he didn't want to give up so easily. Above. Let's go down and take a look. If they are players from other countries, we will send them back to the city for free. Ye Chen smiled and swooped down with everyone, flying towards the concave nest. There were still countless giant rock saint soldiers patrolling on the rocky ground outside the nest. They immediately discovered Ye Chen and others flying over and fired countless earth yellow energy cannons, blasting the air and shooting at Ye Chen and others. Everyone dodged, and Ye Chen roared, "Fight back!" Hearing this, the Abyss Demon laughed grimly, landed on the ground at a speed far exceeding everyone else, and began to slaughter crazily. Xiao Jin was not to be outdone. He instantly recovered his body and turned into a 10-meter-long three-clawed golden dragon, starting a large-scale slaughter. The noise outside made Arthur, Liang, and Shen Gongji alert, and they all looked outside carefully. At first glance, they almost lost their souls. Overlord Night God. Impossible. Why did he become so strong in just 1 month? After seeing Ye Chen, Arthur's mouth twitched and cold sweat ran down his body. Although he lost to Ye Chen a month ago, the gap was not big. In fact, Ye Chen and Sun Yang joined forces to restrain and defeat him. Because Sun Yang's hellfire has a natural restraint on his war master. And now, he was so panicked that his legs trembled just by seeing Ye Chen. Indeed, Ye Chen hadn't made a move yet, and only Xiao Jin and the Abyss Demon could kill the Super Saints in batches, but Ye Chen's ability to have such help has already proved his strength. Shocked, terrified, panicked. For a while, Arthur and others couldn't even think of resisting Ye Chen. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 643. Arthur, you don't even have fighting spirit, but you can still come to Wanghai tenaciously. To some extent, I should praise you a few words soon. Xiao Jin and the Abyss Demon swept away all the surrounding giant rock holy soldiers. Ye Chen looked down at Arthur and smiled teasingly. Google searched Can. The 3 major war zones, the Japanese war zone, the Russian war zone, and the Korean war zone, have been completely controlled by Ye Chen. Arthur and others lost their military ranks, and their damage and defense were 8 times less than those of other countries. Even so, Arthur still led the team to Wanghai, which was really good. But Ye Chen said this more as a mockery, because he would let Arthur and others return to the city for free. Arthur obviously noticed this, and immediately said in panic, "Overlord Ye Chen, you don't need to target us now, right? The major forces in Wanghai are competing with each other. We all came from the East China Sea. Why can't we work together?" Then Arthur, the United States, you will also find it difficult, right? How about you withdraw your camp from the Japanese and Russian war zones, and we will help you. Arthur became more and more excited as he spoke, thinking that he had hit the soft spot in Ye Chen's heart, and talked freely. You help me? Funny, you guys, it's so hard to fight a super saint in a group, how can you help me? You'd better go back and kill ordinary monsters. Ye Chen sneered and threw out a sea of fire. Now that his attributes have skyrocketed, the damage of the sea of fire has also increased, and it can burn hundreds of thousands of damage in 1 second. Arthur and the others were no match for them. They rolled and screamed in the sea of fire, and turned into white light and dissipated between heaven and earth. You know, Ye Chen held the divine weapon Dragon Kiss in his hand. Although he killed people, he could crush the holy rank. Arthur and his team had more than 100 people in total. Not only did they all die and lose their levels, but they also lost their holy rank. More than 100 holy rank, it would be difficult for Arthur to make a comeback. It's just an episode. Let's move on. Ye Chen smiled slightly, waved his hand, and led the team to continue flying towards the center of the island. After resisting the center of the rock island, Yechen began to have people install detection devices in units of kilometers to find the boss. Within 10 minutes, Yechen really found the boss. It was also a rock giant, much taller than the giant rock holy soldier, and its body surface was also as black as steel. When the sun shone down, it flashed the shiny luster unique to black metal. Giant rock divine weapon, lower level divine beast. Level 100. HP, 40 trillion / 40 trillion. Skills. Law, none. Number of believers, none. God's clone, none. Little boss, I'll do it. Xiao Jin opened his dragon horn and fired a dragon flame bomb without waiting for the abyss demon to make a move. The high-temperature explosion burned the hundreds of yards of the giant rock divine weapon completely. The dragon flame bomb is Xiao Jin's strongest skill now, with the terrifying power of Yujing. The giant rock divine weapon's mere 40 trillion life is not enough to resist. Xiao Jin, well done. Yechen did not blame Xiao Jin for snatching the prey of the abyss demon, but praised him instead. Xiao Jin is Yechen's pet. Xiao Jin killed the giant rock divine soldier, and the first kill fell on Yechen's head. Then the world broadcast sounded, and Yechen gained 5 skill points and a lot of experience, which made him feel very happy. Now Yechen is already level 96. At this pace, he doesn't need to upgrade deliberately. If he gets some more first kills of divine beasts, he can reach level 99 and devour the godhead. Abyss Demon, if you encounter divine beasts in the future, let Xiao Jin deal with them in order to make himself more comfortable. Yechen gave the order directly. Xiao Jin, it's okay, master, let him grab it, he can't grab it from me. Abyss Demon. With the death of the giant rock divine soldier, a mountain of spoils was also dropped, including an ordinary divine head. Yechen took the divine head, and after everyone divided up the rest of the items, they continued to move towards the next island. The road was naturally smooth. 3 days passed in a flash, and Yechen received the divine level base sent by Dr. Byron on time, of course not one, but hundreds. Low divine power base model, divine product / special item. Level 1. HP, 1000 M / 1000 M. Attack method, divine power. Skills, teleport, alarm, reconnaissance array, ice array, white mist array, fire dragon array, earth wall array, whirlwind array. Remarks, Goblin Miracle Series. Perfect, Yechen praised. This low divine power base has high life, sufficient defense, and a variety of magic arrays. It can be said to be top quality. You know, the upper god's ultimate attack power is only tens of megabytes, and it can't quickly destroy the low divine power base. In this way, Yechen is completely relieved. So, Yechen and others used the teleporter to go back all the way and build bases one after another. After half an hour, they finished and came back to continue the development. Wanghai has a total of 100 islands. We have occupied more than 20 of them. It seems that dominating Wanghai is just around the corner. Tank grinned and showed a bright smile. In the past 3 days, Yechen and his companions have opened up more than 20 islands. Since they started from the East China Sea, they are now close to the center of the Wanghai Sea. The closer they are to the center, the stronger the NPCs or monsters they encounter. Hohin.com. Along the way, dozens of gods have submitted to Yechen, including several upper gods. There is no way, because even the upper gods are definitely not opponents of Xiao Jin or the abyss demons. Of course, those gods are ordinary gods who master the laws. Even if they are killed, at most they will only explode ordinary godhood, and they will not get the first kill like the divine beasts. Yechen does not need to kill them. Let them as subordinates, more or less can improve some of the combat power. Lord Yechen, if you continue to move towards the center of Wanghai, it will be very dangerous. Because those adults are powerful beings who master the laws, an upper god named Lair carefully suggested to Ye Chen. Aren't you an upper god? Why do you call those lower gods adults? Ye Chen asked with interest. Oh, I'm just expressing my respect for the strong, just like I call you an adult. Lair smiled slightly. Those lower gods are not as strong as you in terms of foundation, but they just have the power of faith. Have you ever thought about killing all their believers first, weakening their power of faith, and then conquering them? Ye Chen asked again. We dream of it, but if they were really that kind of simple character, they would not enjoy the treatment of emperors in this extremely dangerous sea of kings. What do you mean? They will all set up their own kingdoms, keep their believers in captivity like pigs, dogs, cattle, and sheep, and extract villain genes, invent drugs to turn believers into villains, and their offspring will also be villains. After a few generations, they will have at least tens of millions and at most hundreds of millions of villain subjects. Who can know who are their believers? The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 644. It's a bit too much. Those gods don't treat believers as human beings at all. Ye Chen frowned. Yes, the key is that they covered up the truth. After several generations, the subjects were villains from birth, and they never thought that they were human beings. Rail smiled bitterly. Now that Wang Hai knows the truth, I'm afraid they are the only gods. After all, as long as gods are not killed, they have a long and almost infinite lifespan. But gods who exist like Rail are the targets of those lower gods who want to kill them all and silence them. Well, I know, just leave this matter to us. Ye Chen smiled confidently. According to him, there is no need to kill believers. Even if those lower gods are full of faith, they are definitely no match for Xiao Jin. So Ye Chen led the team to move forward and arrived at the next island. It was indeed a civilized country. Taiwan Novel Network. Rightward arrow. Looking around, there are various undulating buildings. But the tallest building is only 1 person tall, a standard Lilliputian building. There are bustling crowds on various streets, and of course they are all palm-sized villains. Everyone's face is filled with the smell of peace and happiness. Poor them, they have no idea that they should be the descendants of mankind. The tallest palace should be the royal palace. Let's go. In the center of the island, there is an extremely huge building standing. It looks extremely incongruous against the many small buildings. Obviously, that is the so-called temple. Ye Chen pointed and led his team to fly over. Dragon Flame Bullet. Xiao Jin took action with anger and fired a Dragon Flame bomb, blowing the temple to pieces. Not long after, 6 people who looked exactly the same flew out of the ruins with a roar. Oh! That's right, it seems that even God's clone has understood several levels. Ye Chen raised his sword eyebrows and strode out of the void. Since the opponent has the clone of God, Xiaojin, or the Abyss Demon cannot do it instantly. If a fight breaks out, the team will suffer. Many people in the team can't even bear the aftermath of a battle of this level. Because of this, Ye Chen stepped forward decisively and opened up his BFF. How courageous are you? How dare you come forward from a holy realm? Seeing Ye Chen walking out before Xiao Jin and the gods, the 6 people sneered at the same time, and one of them directly shot a dark light through the air toward Ye Chen. Chen went to kill. Golden body. Ye Chen didn't panic at all, he opened his golden body instantly and blocked the dark energy cannon. -529, 3010. With a bang sound, huge damage appeared, and the golden body was shattered inch by inch. It was unable to withstand the heavy blow, but at the same time, it also reflected a terrifying shock wave. Ye Chen's defense is very strong, and the golden body is 10 times more defensive than him. However, even so, he cannot withstand a blow from a lower god who is full of faith. There is no way around this. After all, a lower god with full faith can do more than 10 times more damage than an ordinary upper god. Boom. In mid-air, as the golden body shattered, a terrifying shockwave burst out, sweeping across 1,000 yards. Sun Yang, Jian Wuhan, and others were Yuchen's teammates, so they were naturally not harmed. However, the strong wind whipped up by the shockwave made their robes rustle and their hair stand on end. The 6 people were even more unbearable. Not to mention each of them suffered 2.5 million fixed damage, their clothes burst apart, and were left naked in the air. Ha ha ha. Seeing that the enemy was naked, even the bird on his crotch was exposed, everyone couldn't help laughing wildly. The 6 people's faces turned red with embarrassment. As a reflex, they quickly reached out and covered their private parts. But at this moment, Xiao Jin was given the opportunity to obliterate them. The dragon swung its tail. Xiao Jin's figure skyrocketed, and in an instant he turned into a 3-clawed golden dragon with a length of 100 meters. With a roar, the dragon rushed out wildly, and its huge and tough dragon tail knocked 6 people away at the same time. Blood spurted out wildly, and the 6 people were unable to bear the heavy blow and died collectively. A lower god is a lower god after all. If Ye Chen guessed correctly, that guy should have mastered the law of dark elements, so only the dark strength and dark resistance have been increased. The remaining attributes are still the attributes of lower gods. The 6 people died and their bodies exploded, but only one person exploded with something. Obviously, the one who exploded the thing was the original one, and the other 5 were just clones of the gods. A large amount of equipment, materials, and coins burst out and fell straight down. With quick eyes and quick hands, Yuchen galloped over and grabbed an object that shone with colorful light in one hand. It is a godhead, and as expected, it is indeed the dark element origin godhead. The original godhead is extremely rare, and there is only one of them. Yuchen happily put it away, but at this moment, the world broadcast exploded. World broadcast, congratulations to the American player John for reaching level 100. As the first player in the world to reach the full level, he received the following system rewards: gold coins add 30,000, skill points add 30, and the title name of God 1, title world's number 1 God 1, and randomly obtain 3 types of original godheads and 10 ordinary godheads. World broadcasting brushed it 3 times in a row, causing a huge sensation, and players from all walks of life sighed. Ye Chen frowned, feeling tremendous pressure in his heart. After all, he let that guy take the lead. Looking at the all server level ranking, there are quite a few players who have reached level 99, more than a dozen of them, and Jian Wuhan is one of them. But among these more than 10 people, only John has become a god, which is not a coincidence, but a real strength. At this stage, players who can reach level 90 or above are not ordinary people. They must be preachers of the upper gods. It is not even ruled out that some people have 2 or even multiple powers of faith. On this basis, if you swallow the godhood and enter the god's trial field, you will need to face the clone of the upper god. You must know that the god's trial field cannot form a team. With the realm of the holy domain, forcefully attacking the clone of the upper god, and the opponent also has the power of faith, this difficulty is as difficult as ascending to the sky. Not to mention others, even Ye Chen, without opening the time storm, wants to fight the god of fire Oz alone. He doesn't even have half the confidence. In such a comparison, John's terrifying strength is exposed. Now I am enough to crush the average middle-level god. I will feel pressured by the clone of the upper-level god, not to mention that the other party has the power of faith, Ye Chen pondered secretly. The upper-level god is 10 times stronger than the middle-level god, so the clone of the upper-level god is also 5 times stronger than the middle-level god. Sometimes becoming a god depends on luck. If the opponent has only tens of thousands of believers, it is considered good luck. If the opponent has hundreds of millions of believers, it is almost impossible to fight. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 645. John should be the kind of person who is very lucky. The power of belief in the higher God he believes in should not be strong. Otherwise, he will not become a god so easily. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow Diamond Suit. But even so, his strength is still terrifying. Before he became a god, in the realm of the Holy Realm, he could at least crush the average high-level god. He was even stronger than me. Now that he has become a god, if he is lucky enough to devour and refine a few more original godheads, then his strength will be unimaginably powerful. He is probably much more powerful than the Abyss Demon, no, compared to Xiaojin. Yuchen fell into deep thought, analyzing and thinking carefully, and unknowingly cold sweat rolled down his face, soaking his clothes. He has become a god now, and it seems that he has also provided me with a piece of information. Maybe the enemy behind him is so powerful that with his strength, even a god cannot defeat him. Suddenly, Yechen's eyes lit up and he said decisively, "Just set up camp and wait for me to come back." After speaking, Yuchen teleported away directly. Xiaojin is a pet after all, and there is a distance limit between the player and the pet. As Yuchen teleported away, Xiaojin also turned into white light and disappeared, making everyone look at each other in shock. Now Yechen's opponent is only John, and the final battle is about to come. Now that John has become a god, Yechen naturally can't sit still. King Shang turned his head, looked in the direction of Dinosaur Island, and suddenly sighed. The final battle. Everyone murmured silently, feeling more complicated than ever before. On the other side, Dinosaur Island. As if feeling his master's mood, Xiaojin roared crazily and tried his best to kill the dinosaur in an instant, providing Yechen with upgrade experience. Yechen is now level 97, only 2 levels away from level 99, but these 2 levels require extremely huge experience points. Yechen also wielded a knife. If he used the finishing move, he could kill the super holy dinosaur instantly. Although the killing efficiency was far less than that of Xiaojin, he couldn't sit still now and had to find something to vent his anger. By the way, it's also okay to practice your skill proficiency. Xiaojin is already at level 100, so he will not gain experience from killing monsters. Yechen is like a solo player, gaining all the experience. A day passed in a flash, and with the joint efforts of the two of them, Yechen finally moved up a level, reaching level 98 with 65% experience. After having breakfast and going online again, Yechen stopped and went to the blood tree first. The blood tree has not moved for a long time since it came here. This is what Yechen means. After all, the blood tree's combat power is limited, and once it dies, Yechen will really want to cry without tears. For several months, the blood tree stayed there, motionless, and never spawned monsters. But every time Yechen upgrades, the blood tree will also upgrade. This shows that the blood tree also has a hidden function. It can store experience points. The blood tree has also killed everyone and gained countless experience points. It has all been retained for upgrading. Because its level is at most the same as Yechen, it can only wait for Yechen to level up first, and then consume the stored experience points to level up directly. Yechen is now level 98, and blood tree is also level 98. Today's blood tree can't even be described as having lush branches and leaves. It is already a towering tree. Every time Yechen sees it, he smiles knowingly and feels strong pride in his heart, because he raised it from a seed by himself. "Master, have you brought me something? I smell something that fascinates me." When the blood tree saw Yechen, it shook its branches excitedly and laughed. Yechen smiled slightly, took out a handful of coagulated blood flowers with his bare hands, and said, "These 5 coagulated blood flowers are already filled with essence and blood, most of which are super holy essence and blood, including the essence and blood of mythical beasts. This time, maybe can break your shackles and make you a divine tree." Hearing this, the blood tree did not speak, but kept shaking its branches to show its excitement. Chen smiled slightly and threw 5 coagulated blood flowers into the air, and they floated on the extremely thick trunk of the blood tree. The blood tree began to frantically absorb the essence and blood in the coagulated blood flower. It seemed to be endlessly nourished. Its whole body shone with red light, and the lush leaves seemed to become more and more vivid. The bright and dazzling coagulated blood flower turned pale at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a while, the 5 bright red flowers turned into a forest white color like skeletons, and then withered and fell sadly from the sky. It was obvious that all the essence and blood in the 5 coagulated blood flowers had been absorbed by the blood tree. The next moment, the blood tree trembled crazily, and the whole body glowed with divine light. In the colorful glow, the blood tree's already huge size once again grew rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye, covering the sky and the sun for a while. System, congratulations on your blood tree becoming a lower level divine beast and earning the title Divine Tree Cultivator *1. Haha, Master, I succeeded, the blood tree laughed wildly. Hearing the cheerful laughter of the blood tree, Chen felt extremely satisfied, and immediately glanced at the attributes of the blood tree. Blood tree, lower mythical beast. Level 99. HP, 44 MB / 44 MB. Skills, blood sucking, automatic picking up, whipping, entangling, flying red leaves, shaking stars, disguise. Features, feedback. Laws, law of strength, law of intelligence, law of physical strength, law of spirit, law of life. Number of believers, 0. God's avatar, none. Note, can grow and upgrade. Tisk tisk, he really became a god. Hey, wait, blood tree, you haven't become a god yet, why can you master the laws, and 5 laws? Chen was shocked. Oh, it's like this, master. I saw a shape-shifting fruit ripe, and I couldn't help but eat it secretly. Blood tree smiled and transformed into a 10-year-old red-haired child. Chen was shocked again. Of course, he would not feel sorry for a mere shape-shifting fruit. The main thing was that the blood tree could shape-shift, which puzzled him. The goodwill between the pet and the owner reached the full value of 100. He knew that swallowing the shape-shifting fruit could shape-shift, but the blood tree was not a pet. It seems that in the setting, there is also a goodwill between me and the blood tree. After a moment, Chen could only force himself to explain. On the other hand, if Chen and the blood tree really had a goodwill, it would definitely be the full value of 100. There is no doubt about this. The law of power, the law of intelligence, the law of physical strength, the law of spirit, I know all of these. What the hell is the law of life? Chen glanced at the red-haired little boy with red lips and white teeth, and looked very cute and handsome, and asked in confusion. The law of life is one of the supreme laws. It is not powerful in itself, but mainly plays an auxiliary role. Master, look, Susha grinned, waved his little hand, and sprinkled countless stars. Those stars were all green and fell to the ground. Countless seedlings broke out of the soil and turned into white and chubby little babies the size of a palm. For a while, this green grassland was full of children's laughter. It's actually creating life. Chen was shocked and stunned. Susha's method was exactly the same as the monkey brother blowing monkey hair to create life in the past. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wangshi-san. Chapter 646. Chen glanced at the attributes of the blood tree again and found that the number of its believers was full. This is the mystery of the law of life. As the blood tree said, the law of life itself is not strong, and it mainly plays a supporting role, instantly fill up the believers and enhance the power of faith. If a god only has the law of life, then even if it has full believers, it will not increase the attribute at all, just like a decoration. Fortunately, in addition to the law of life, the blood tree also masters the 4 laws of strength, physical strength, intelligence, and spirit. As the believers are full, the attributes of the blood tree skyrocketed for a while: strength add 5 million, physical strength 5, intelligence add 5 million, spirit 5. Yes, the current strength of the blood tree is quite good. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Ye Chen nodded secretly. Now the ultimate attack power of the blood tree is also above 100 trillion, and the blood tree itself has a very good group attack ability. In this way, the strength is superb. But if they really fight, the blood tree will definitely not be the opponent of Xiaojin and the Abyss Demon. After all, basic laws such as strength and physical strength are not as advanced as elemental laws in essence. Ye Chen also has the original godhood of light element, dark element, and fire element. If they are all given to the blood tree, and the blood tree is lucky enough to master one of the laws, it will be incredible. If the attack power is multiplied by 10,000 times, then the maximum attack power may be more than 100 Zheng. But Ye Chen did not do so. Subconsciously, Ye Chen was not willing to let the blood tree participate in the battle. He did not care how strong the blood tree's combat power was, because the real strength of the blood tree lies in the power of feedback. The blood tree has only one life. Once it dies, everything is gone. Of course, the blood tree's combat power has become stronger and its survival ability has been fundamentally improved. Ye Chen is still very happy to see this. But this time, Ye Chen came to the blood tree to ask for help. The feedback power of the blood tree is very strong. In addition to increasing Ye Chen's full attributes, it can also feedback experience points. Sushu is now level 98. 98% of the experience he gets will be fed back to Ye Chen, and he will only keep 2%. Sushu, go to Dinosaur Island and help me gain some experience, Ye Chen ordered, and Sushu nodded decisively and teleported to the low-power base where Dinosaur Island is located. Not long after, Ye Chen felt the experience rolling in. In this way, Ye Chen doesn't need to level up by himself. Anyway, with Sushu's help, I believe he will reach level 99 in no time. And with the time saved, Ye Chen wants to go to the desert. System, you found Baiun City. Crush a teleportation stone. Ye Chen arrived at Baiun City, and then flew towards the direction of the desert. Now his speed has reached an incredible level. It took less than a minute to fly from the center of Baiun City to the outside of Baiun City. A group of novice players in Baiun City felt a meteor passing over their heads and were shocked. After arriving at the Great Desert, Ye Chen summoned the Desert Camel. Now the Desert Camel has already reached level 80, and swallowed the Holy Spirit given by Ye Chen, becoming a holy beast. So, Ye Chen rode on the Desert Camel, selected a direction, and the Desert Camel took off and ran out. You should know that the desert ruins belong to hidden maps, and the route is not shown on the system map. Moreover, the desert ruins are very dangerous, with countless disgusting monsters causing sand traps, illusions, sandstorms, etc. It is easy for ordinary people to get lost and wander around in the desert. In other words, it is extremely difficult to open up wasteland in the desert ruins, but of course it is not impossible. If you really have perseverance and spend a few months with a large army, I believe you can also open up the desert ruins. Generally, no one has this perseverance, or it is not necessary. And if you have a desert camel, it will undoubtedly be much simpler. The desert camel is a rare species in the Great Desert. It is very sensitive and can sense sand traps, illusions, sandstorms, etc. in advance, so as to bypass them. Ye Chen rode a desert camel and headed deep into the desert ruins, with almost no accidents along the way. More than 10 hours later, Ye Chen successfully reached level 99. After riding a desert camel and flying forward for a distance, he found a small oasis. The so-called oasis. It is the melting of ice and snow on the high mountains near the desert, flowing down the hillside to form a river. The river water flows through the desert and seeps into the sand to become groundwater. After this groundwater flows along the impermeable rock layer to the sunken area of the desert, it will surge out of the ground. With water, various organisms and plants came into being, developed and multiplied, and formed an oasis. This is a miracle in the desert. The oasis that Yechen saw at the moment was just a very small oasis, only 100 yards long. Yechen drank some water in the oasis, rested for a while, and then teamed up with Xiaoro, and used team teleportation to force her over. Since he has reached level 99, he certainly wants to become a god. He didn't have even 50% confidence in dealing with Oz's clone, and his own time storm hadn't cooled down yet, so he wanted to take advantage of Xiaoro's time storm. Yechen swallowed the fire elemental godhead, and suddenly divine light shone around him, and flames flew everywhere. Xiaoro didn't dare to neglect it, and quickly used imitation, time storm on Yechen. A terrifying black tornado burst out from Yechen's body. About 3 seconds later, Yechen became the night god of gods. Nodding to Xiaoro, the night god of gods entered the god's trial field. System, you found the god's trial field. A flash of white light, Yechen came to a fire palace, took a quick glance, and found that there were 11 rooms in this fire palace. And the first room where Yechen was currently located had countless fire monsters, all of which were world elites. Yechen left a sea of fire, and all the fire monsters were annihilated in the blazing high-temperature flames, instantly. Yechen was too lazy to pick up the things dropped by the monsters, and directly rushed into the next room, and was still killed in the sea of fire. Crushing all the way, 1 minute later, Yechen successfully arrived at the 10th room. There was only one monster in this room, a super holy fire dragon, with a life value close to 1 trillion. So that's how it is. If a player who doesn't believe in God enters the God's trial field, there are only 10 rooms, and the last boss is a super saint. For a player who believes in God, there are 11 rooms, and the last boss is the incarnation of the God who believes in God. A look of realization flashed across Yechen's cold face. Shut up. Facing the roar of the super holy fire dragon, Yechen roared, threw a dart with his bare hands, and shot it through, and blood gushed out like a fountain. The super holy fire dragon had a look of disbelief in its eyes, and fell to the ground with a bang, stirring up smoke and dust. This super holy fire dragon exploded a holy grid. Yechen picked it up casually, and entered the last room. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 647. Yechen stepped on the raging flames and walked into a spacious room filled with blazing flames. In the center of the room, a shirtless man sat cross-legged with his back to Yechen. Just his back, there was a powerful divine power that people dared not underestimate. Bold lunatic, you should feel honored to be my believer and work for me. But now you are actually trying to become a god. How can I tolerate you? A loud shout sounded, and the raging flames in the room surged again. If an ordinary person could withstand the strong high-temperature flames, he would probably turn into ashes in an instant. Oz, who do you think you are? You dare to say such words in front of me? Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? Yechen smiled contemptuously, not taking Oz seriously at all. You know, the current Yechen is the night god of gods, and he is also a higher god like Ounce. How could he buy Oz's account? Asshole, Oz roared, and with a move, he turned around and swept his sharp eyes towards Yechen. Upper god, this is impossible. Oz glanced at Yechen, as if struck by lightning, as if he had seen a ghost, staring at Yechen in disbelief, his heart trembling. If he were an upper god, it would be impossible for him to enter the god's trial field and come here. Only a 99-level Saint Domain strongman who wants to become a god can enter the god's trial field. However, the upper god Yechen was standing here, making him believe it. Oh, it seems that you have used some means to achieve the realm of an upper god in a short period of time. No wonder you dare to be so arrogant in front of me. But I see that you have no faith at all, you are a cannon fodder among gods. How can you be my opponent? Oz is indeed a knowledgeable upper god. He saw through Ye Chen's details in an instant, and he was no longer panicked, but became calm and determined. Want to try? In my opinion, you are vulnerable. Ye Chen sneered, threw a dart casually, exploded the air, and emitted a muffled buzzing sound, and shot towards Oz. The time storm is a simulation of 10 years later based on the current attributes of the target. In other words, the stronger the target, the stronger the character simulated by the time storm. Ye Chen crushed the general middle-level gods with the realm of the holy domain. That foundation has reached the level of bursting. After the time storm, the current god of night is terribly strong. Mastered more than a dozen laws. Because it is simulated by skills, there are no believers, so there is no power of faith. Therefore, the god of night is still just an ordinary upper god in terms of realm. But he is not ordinary at all. Facing the god of fire Oz, Ye Chen naturally would not use the law of fire elements, but the law of ice elements. I saw that there was an unbearable cold on the dart that shot towards Ounce. It was evaporated by the flames, and bursts of rich water vapor were burned. Humph, you arrogant fellow, I want to see how strong you are. Looking at the ice dart rapidly enlarging in his pupils, Oz sneered, motionless, ready to take it. In fact, with his speed, he could certainly dodge, but he didn't believe it. Could an ordinary upper god kill him in 1 second? Bang! The next moment, the ice dart hit Oz, like an explosion, stirring up steam in the room. -1043048200482091. Huge damage came out. Oz lost 100 trillion blood directly, which shocked him immediately. You know, the limit damage of an ordinary upper god is only tens of trillions. And Ye Chen's casual attack was actually 100 trillion, if it was a limit attack, it must be more than 1,000 trillion. In other words, if Ye Chen had been serious just now, Oz might have been killed in 1 second. Thinking of this, Oz was scared and covered in cold sweat. Such a monster, I can't let you go. Oz was completely panicked. His original calmness and composure had long gone. He became hysterical, roared, and actually released a meteor shower. The upper god's move was indeed extraordinary. Even the scene changed. The sky suddenly darkened. I saw huge fireballs filling the starry sky, carrying the momentum of destroying the world and high temperature, and fell intensively towards Ye Chen. In the dark night, Ye Chen disappeared as soon as he moved. In the blink of an eye, 11 Ye Chens appeared. This is the clone of God, 1 original body and 10 clones. Golden body. Ye Chen and the clone of God started to form golden bodies at the same time to resist the dense high-temperature fireballs. The defense of the golden body is 10 times stronger than that of Ye Chen. Oz's meteor shower could not break the defense at all. It hit the golden body intensively, but instead ejected a series of terrifying shock waves. A series of golden shock waves flashed brilliantly in the darkness, sweeping across the thousands of yards around, causing Oz to spit blood repeatedly, and his HP dropped continuously. -1048440482810032. -60422024140516. -60422024140516. -60422024140516. -60422024140516. Night God. If you have the guts, go to the God's domain. This true body will make you beg for life but not for death. Under the sweep of countless powerful shock waves, Oz vomited blood repeatedly and fell in a furious roar. This dead Oz is just the clone of Oz, and his original body is naturally still in the God's domain. .hashin.co. However, Ye Chen killed this Oz and cleared the God's trial field. The next moment, the scene caused by Oz's meteor shower disappeared, and everything returned to the appearance of the Fire Palace. After all, Oz is just the clone of God, and he didn't explode a single copper coin when he died. System, congratulations on clearing the God's trial field, refining the fire element godhood, level add 1, strength, physical strength, intelligence, spirit, agility add 10,000 points, light, fire, dark, ice enhancement add 1,000 points, resistance add 5,000 points, and mastering the law of fire element. Level 99 players, after swallowing the godhood, will enter the God's trial field. Only after clearing the level can you refine the godhood and become a god. If you refine ordinary godhood, you will naturally not master the law. If you refine the origin godhood, there is only a certain probability of mastering the origin law, and there is no clear data to show this probability. In short, Ye Chen is lucky. After refining the fire element origin godhood, he luckily mastered the fire element law. The next moment, the national broadcast sounded. National broadcast - China, congratulations to the player Ye Chen for reaching level 100. As the first player in the country to reach the maximum level. The system rewards are as follows: gold coins add 10,000, skill points add 10, title name of God 1, ordinary godhood 3. The national broadcast was broadcast 3 times in a row, causing an uproar. All Chinese players were pleased and proud of Ye Chen. But Ye Chen frowned slightly. Sure enough, there is a big difference between being the first to become a god in the country and the first to become a god in the whole server. John's reward is much better than his. He directly randomly rewards 3 origin godhoods and 10 ordinary godhoods. This cannot be compared. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 648. After the national broadcast, countless players in the Chinese theater took the initiative to apply to become Ye Chen's followers. In a few minutes, Ye Chen's 1 million followers were full. He didn't even need to fight GG, it was enough to see how influential Ye Chen is now. Ye Chen swallowed the 3 original godheads, the light element godhead, the power godhead, and the dark element godhead. After becoming a god, swallowing godheads would not have too many fancy things. It just depends on whether the refining is successful or not. If it succeeds, you master the law, and if it fails, you waste the original godhead. System, you failed to refine the light element godhead. System, you succeeded in refining the power godhead. Congratulations on mastering the law of power. System, you failed to refine the dark element godhead. 3 consecutive system upgrades sounded, and Ye Chen sighed. It was very uncomfortable to refine only one of the 3 original godheads. But this kind of thing depends purely on luck, and there is absolutely no way to reverse it. Next, Ye Chen checked the 2 newly acquired titles. Divine Tree Cultivator, Artifact. Level 1. Equipment type, Title. Strength add 10,000. Physical strength add 10,000. Intelligence add 10,000. Spirit add 10,000. Agility add 10,000. Special effects, light, dark, fire, ice enhancement add 1,000 points. Special effects, light, dark, fire, ice resistance add 5,000 points. Special effects, after the death of the divine tree, regeneration seeds are obtained. Note, this title can be obtained by cultivating the divine tree. Name of God, Artifact. Level 100. Equipment type, Title. Strength add 5,000. Physical strength add 5,000. Intelligence add 5,000. Spirit add 5,000. Agility add 5,000. Special effects, light, dark, fire, ice enhancement add 1,000 points. Features, light, dark, fire, ice enhancement add 3,000 points. Note, God-level players can obtain this title. Yechen now has a total of 10 title slots, but he has far more than 10 titles. There is no other way, he can only eliminate some low-end titles and wear the 10 strongest titles as much as possible. After finishing all this, Yechen glanced at his attributes. Yechen, ID. Race, God, lower level God. Profession, Assassin. Warzone, China. Faction, Light. Position, Martial. Title, God Tree Cultivator, Name of God, Dragon Slayer, Hell Messenger, National Leader, Identifier, God Thief, Source of Sin, Perceiver, Great Good Man. Medal, Medal of Courage, Martial Medal. Level, 100, Max Level. HP, 5.12 million / 5.12 million. MP, 4.67 million / 4.67 million. Strength, 1036,000. Asterisk physical attack, 10.36 million / 10.37 million. Asterisk fire attribute enhancement, 238,5000. Asterisk fire attribute resistance, 611,2000. Asterisk perception, 2. Asterisk critical hit rate add 100%. Attack speed 50%. Movement speed 80%. Skills, LV33 Sap, LV35 Stab, LV47 Thief, LV32 Lockpicking, Stealth, Sprint, LV39 Throat Slitting, LV35 Bleeding, LV32 Wind Step, LV35 Spinning Stab, LV32 Remove Trap. Rare Skills, LV33 Bleeding Note, LV42 Hidden Weapon Mastery, LV33 Shadow Attack, LV36 Stun Dart, Shadow Escape, LV36 Boomerang, Bloodblade, Shadow Thorn, Flying Thunder God, Strong Hidden, LV26 7 Star Kill, LV27,000 Needle Slaughter, LV14 Poison Dragon Thorn. Equipment Additional Skills, Kindness Aura, War Cry, LV7 Fighting Spirit. Special Skills, LV38 Poisoning, LV72 Forging, Blood Eyes, LV35 Breaking Martial Arts, LV28 Advanced Dart Production Drawings, LV100 Strong Attack, Team Teleport, Self-Recovery, Resurrection, Hand of Hell, LV33 Fire Hymn, LV35 Fire Armor, LV38 Armor Hardening, Tyrant Dragon Mark, Sand Clone, Vajra Indestructible Body. Assassin Skill Tree, Final Blow, LV30 Murderous Aura, LV18 Killing Mark, LV30 Shadow Assassination. Cross-Class Skill, LV36 Sea of Fire. Talent, Firm Will, Passive. Skill Points, 108. Law, Fire Element Law, Power Law. Number of Believers, 1 million. God Clone, none. Hiss, I can't believe it. Yechen glanced at the attributes and was stunned. After he became a god at the maximum level, the blood tree automatically reached the maximum level and provided 100% amplification power. This is already the limit of the blood tree. Unless Dream World continues to open the level cap, otherwise, the blood tree provides 100% amplification power, which is the limit. In other words, Yechen's all attributes doubled. The power of faith doubled. A lower level god with full followers, mastering the law of fire element, obtains the power of faith, fire strength add 1 million, fire resistance add 3 million. And Yechen obtains the power of faith, fire strength add 2 million, fire resistance add 6 million. A lower level god with full followers, mastering the law of power, obtains the power of faith, power add 5 million. And Yechen obtains the power of faith, power add 10 million. This is very scary. The same is doubling, but the difference is also very big. For example, 1 doubled is 2. and 100 million doubled, but it is 200 million, the difference is obvious at a glance. Currently, Ye Chen's basic attack power is 103 Xian. 238-5000 firepower, 23,850 times, Xiao He doubled, crit doubled, burning heart ring doubled, full level fighting spirit doubled 8 times. That is to say, when Ye Chen and Xiao He use normal attacks at the same time, they will have 160 trillion damage. Oh my god, 160 trillion damage for normal attacks, what is this concept? One word of horror is not enough to describe it. Any skill is more than 3,000 trillion. Any finishing move is more than 3 jing, and the strongest back-piercing heart reaches 5-6 jing. Now his combat power is dozens of times stronger than the Abyss Demon, and several times stronger than Xiao Jin. As for damage, I have reached a small limit, but there is still a lot of room for growth in other aspects, Ye Chen pondered secretly. Now he has mastered the law of power and the law of fire elements, and has full crit. In the realm of lower gods, it will be difficult to increase damage. Continuing to master the 3 elemental laws of light, darkness, and ice will not increase his damage at all. Because you can only use one attribute attack. But if you master the 3 elemental laws, it will undoubtedly increase a lot of resistance, which is also very awesome. In addition, there are physical laws, agility laws, steel laws, dodge laws, etc., which are all the laws that Ye Chen wants to master. But Ye Chen is not in a hurry for this kind of thing, and to be honest, he can't be in a hurry. First of all, the origin of the Godhead is not so easy to obtain. Even if you get it, there is only a certain probability of refining it. When it is superimposed, it will be extremely difficult. After coming out of God's trial field, Ye Chen continued to ride the desert camel and headed towards the depths of the ruins. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 649. Ye Chen rode a desert camel. After flying forward for an unknown amount of time, a beautiful scene that was completely different from the desert suddenly appeared in front of him. It's an oasis. It was so big that Ye Chen was so high up that he couldn't see the end at a glance, as if this oasis did not belong to the desert, but a small independent world. Perhaps, this is the hidden hell I am looking for in the desert ruins. Ye Chen's lips moved slightly and he smiled. This premonition was very strong. Sure enough, when Ye Chen rode a desert camel and arrived within the huge oasis, a system prompt rang in his ears. System, you discovered a desert wonderland, recognition add 100,000 points. Definitely. Searched can on Google. Ye Chen smiled slightly. If he had just had a hunch before, but now he heard the system prompts, he was completely sure. Now that he has arrived at the oasis, Ye Chen no longer needs the desert camel to navigate. He directly puts the desert camel into the pet space and gallops forward. Who is coming? Not long after Ye Chen flew, he was stopped by a sharp shout from below. Ye Chen lowered his eyes and looked down, only to see an acre of farmland below, with the fresh fragrance of vegetables and the stench of feces slowly drifting up. There were several farmers working in the farmland, and it was these farmers who shouted at Ye Chen. Immediately, they picked up the shovels and hoes in their hands, jumped into the air, and flew towards Ye Chen with solemn expressions. Sanctuary, there was a trace of surprise in Ye Chen's indifferent eyes, but it was just surprise. Now that he is in the realm of a lower god, his combat power is hundreds of blocks ahead of the average upper god. How could he take it seriously in a mere holy area? Seeing several sanctuary farmers charging toward him fiercely with weapons in hand, Ye Chen smiled teasingly, deliberately revealing a hint of divine power. Suddenly, the farmers felt as if they were facing a powerful enemy, and cold sweat fell from their foreheads. God! "My lord, why did you come to our desert fairyland?" After a short period of shock and nervousness, several farmers calmed down and asked Yuchen. On their faces, there was some unconcealable ecstasy, and expectation. "Damn it, it's our honor for the Lord God to come to our desert fairyland. How do you behave when you ask questions?" A shirtless man emerged from the crowd. He looked like the leader of these farmers. At that moment, he scolded his subordinates, for fear of neglecting Yuchen, and said quickly, "Lord God, you are new to the desert fairyland, let us show you around." "Haha, okay." Yuchen smiled slightly. He expected the change in the attitude of these farmers. After all, there is a difference between heaven and earth, between gods, even lower gods, and the Holy Realm. So, a few farmers acted as tour guides, and Yuchen looked around at the beautiful scenery of this desert wonderland. As time went by, there were more and more people behind Yuchen. In the desert fairyland, many natives came here to admire Yuchen, quietly looking at Yuchen as if they were looking at something strange, with unspeakable excitement in their eyes. After a while, Yuchen stopped in an elegant bamboo forest. The natives held a feast and brought plates of fresh fruits and wine in rows as if they were offerings to honor Yuchen. Yuchen glanced at these fresh fruits and fine wines, and was suddenly startled. They were all holy products. Just like those holy fruits in Huaguo Mountain, if you eat just one, you can increase your attributes by thousands of points. Of course, Yuchen's current attributes won't increase much if he eats the holy fruit. It's like if his power reaches more than 10 million, even if he increases it by 1000 points, it will be of no use. But mosquitoes are still meat no matter how small they are. Given this opportunity, Yuchen would not miss it. He even packed a large amount of holy fruits and prepared to share them with his comrades. While Yuchen was feasting and eating very happily, a group of indigenous people suddenly knelt down collectively, howling and pleading with tears in their eyes, "Lord God, you are so powerful, please help us poor people. This desert fairyland used to be peaceful and uncontested. We residents lived a carefree life, but in the past 2 years, a ferocious beast suddenly came, killing and eating people at every turn, making us live in dire straits. It's really miserable to be on tenterhooks all day." All the natives, no matter men, women, old or young, all knelt down towards Yuchen and began to plead with each other in tears. At the same time, a system prompt sounded in Yuchen's ears. "System, you have triggered the only hidden mission: save the desert fairyland. The mission goal is to kill the chaotic beast. The mission reward is, experience value add 1 billion, 10,000 gold coins, skill points *10, and gain the favorability of the residents of the desert fairyland." It's easy to be soft-spoken. Hey, these bastards actually set a trap for me. Yuchen snorted twice, but he wasn't angry at all. Anyway, it was very easy for him to kill the divine beast, not to mention the rich rewards. "Okay, everyone, get up, I promise you." Yuchen smiled slightly. "Master Spirit, have you agreed?" To be honest, that beast is the ancient ferocious beast Daudi, and its destructive power is extremely shocking. Seeing Yuchen agreeing, W Zaishan. Everyone was ecstatic, and they said it in hindsight. Only now did they tell Yuchen that what he needed to face was the ancient ferocious beast Daudi. Obviously, they did it on purpose. Yuchen is not surprised. Everyone has that kind of selfishness. They must have been forced to do nothing by Daudi. Now that Yuchen is coming, they must find a way to trap him no matter what. It doesn't matter. This is Yuchen's attitude. No matter what ancient ferocious beast he is, he will still kill it with one blow. Don't worry, everyone, my strength is not as simple as a lower god. Yuchen smiled faintly, stood up and waved his hand, saying, "Lead the way, I will help you deal with the ancient ferocious beast Daudi now." Seeing that Yuchen was so confident, everyone's nervousness and apprehension relaxed a little. Of course, Most people were scared out of their wits by Dowdy and did not dare to lead the way. Only a few energetic young people volunteered to lead the way for Yuchen. More than half an hour later, led by several young men, Yuchen arrived in front of a beautiful lake. Lord Spirit, this is the divine lake in our fairyland. The divine water in it has the effect of plucking hair and cleansing marrow. It can remove impurities from the body and fundamentally improve people's bloodline genes. The glutton is greedy and greedy. It will eat up everything, good or bad. It often comes to this sacred lake to bathe to remove impurities from its body and become stronger. Looking at the crystal clear lake water, several young people introduced it to Yechen one after another. Oh, is it so magical? Yechen sighed in admiration, walked to the shore and squatted down, reaching out to scoop up a handful of clear lake water. It was cold in his hands, as if it had a magical power to calm people down. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Giladu mobile version reading website. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 650. This is, repelling water. Suddenly, Yechen was shocked and screamed. You know, every drop of repelling water is a divine product and is priceless. There is actually a whole lake here, which is incredible. Yechen didn't know that repelling water can actually have the effect of plucking hair and washing marrow. After all, he thought that repelling water exists drop by drop, and a drop of repelling water does not have the effect of plucking hair and washing marrow. Maybe when the repelling water reaches a certain level, it will have the effect of plucking hair and washing marrow. Lord God, the Dowdy doesn't seem to be here. During this period of time, you can enter the God Lake to bathe, plucking hair and washing marrow, and maybe it can also increase your divine power. Several young people leading the way said to Yechen enthusiastically. Yechen nodded. If there is such a good thing, he will naturally not miss it. With a bang, Yechen jumped into the so-called God Lake and summoned Xiao Jin and Xiao Hong. Since he subdued the divine beast Xiao Jin, he can summon two pets at the same time. One person and two beasts swam happily in the lake. Soon, a system prompt sounded in Yechen's ears. System, you bathe in the holy water, pluck hair and wash your marrow, and your strength, physical strength, intelligence, spirit, and agility are at 100,000 points. As the system prompt sounded, Yechen's attributes soared. Because of the feedback power of the blood tree, the increase he received was doubled. Xiao Jin and Xiao Hong also plucked hair and washed their marrow, and received a considerable increase. Chirp. At this time, Xiao Hong chirped happily twice and actually evolved directly into a divine beast. Xiao Hong is only level 85, which is a lower level divine beast of level 85. Of course, the level is not important, what is important is the realm. Xiao Hong is a phoenix family with extraordinary talents. When she swallows a transformation fruit to transform, she will at least master a law, and her strength will not be much weaker than Xiao Jin. Yechen soaked in the sacred lake for a while, and then dived down. You don't know until you dive, and you'll be shocked when you dive. There is actually a terrifying beast at the bottom of this lake. The whole body of the giant beast was red, and its lower body was like a wild beast, with a strong and broad back, 4 hooves, and a flaming tail. Above the waist, it was the upper body of a human, with a naked and muscular chest and arms. At the top, it was a monster-like head with long red hair. A bloody mouth, which almost occupied 3/4 of the head, gave people a sense of swallowing the sky. At this time, he was sleeping in the sea, snoring loudly, occasionally sharpening his sharp teeth, as if he was enjoying food in his sleep, chewing randomly, and the explosion sound was amazing. This guy must be Dowdy. Yechen's eyes were slightly stern. After all, Dowdy is a product of mythology, and there are countless fabricated statues and patterns, which cannot be taken as accurate. The most prominent feature of Dowdy is that it has a big mouth and loves to eat. At this moment, this giant beast completely fits the image. This guy is not an ordinary divine beast, but a divine beast. He does not need to transform at all, and he has the strength of a transformed divine beast. I am afraid he also has mastered the law and has the power of faith. Ye Chen pondered secretly, his eyes focused and used recognition to look at the giant beast. Doughty, lower divine beast / ancient fierce beast. Level 100. HP, 500 trillion / 500 trillion. Skills, Shock Star, Devour, Storm, Demon Eye, Fierce Power. Law, Law of Strength, Law of Physical Strength, Law of Fire Element, Law of Steel. Number of believers, 1 million. God's clone, none. Tisk tisk, it seems that this guy is quite powerful. Ye Chen sneered, threw a dart with his bare hands, drew a stream of water in the lake, and shot towards Doughty. The water pressure changed dramatically, and the sleeping Doughty seemed to be disturbed and woke up directly. He roared at Ye Chen, then opened his bloody mouth, generating infinite suction, and swallowed Ye Chen's darts and the surrounding lake water in one gulp. This guy can swallow my skills. Ye Chen was startled and rushed towards Doughty immediately. Since the opponent could swallow his long-range skills, he could only choose close combat. Where did you come from, little thing, to disturb my sleep? I'll swallow you alive. Doughty looked at Ye Chen rushing towards him, and became more and more furious. He roared and opened his bloody mouth to an exaggerated degree again, trying to swallow Ye Chen. Ye Chen didn't know what the consequences would be if he was swallowed by Doughty, but he obviously wouldn't try. Feeling the infinite suction from the mouth of Doughty, Ye Chen staggered and walked forward a few steps involuntarily. Doughty took advantage of the situation and bit him. Fortunately, Xiao He would not be affected by the suction and could still move freely. He moved aside and used instant transfer to exchange positions with Ye Chen, allowing Ye Chen to escape. Bang! Doughty bit into nothing, and the sharp teeth collided with each other, making an explosion-like sound. Doughty was furious, and a flame spear appeared in his hand for no reason, stabbing at Ye Chen. -104-0210. Ye Chen was pierced through by the flame spear, and the damage came out, but it was not a big deal. Ye Chen's HP now exceeded 7 million, and it didn't matter if he suffered 1 million damage. Boy, can you? Doughty looked at the damage he had caused and was shocked. Yes, I also have the law of fire element. Ye Chen smiled slightly. In fact, it is not only that. Generally, even if the lower gods master the law of fire elements and have full faith power, they can only have 1 million fire strength and 3 million fire resistance. However, Ye Chen, because of the feedback power of the blood tree, has 2 million fire strength and 6 million fire resistance. Ye Chen's 6 million fire resistance completely offsets Doughty's 1 million fire strength, and has 5 million fire resistance left, which offsets Doughty's 50,000 times fire damage. Coupled with Ye Chen's extremely terrifying defense, Doughty's damage dropped sharply. Of course, Ye Chen also recognized Doughty's strength. Xiaojin, who also masters the law of fire elements, is a member of the Shenlong clan. Attacking Ye Chen, at most 1 or 2,000 damage. There is no way. Ye Chen is so strong, the feedback power of the blood tree, all attributes doubled. It is really awesome. The later it is, the more awesome it is. It's the same principle. 1 double is 2, but 100 million double is 200 million. Xiaojin can only deal 1 or 2,000 damage, but Doughty can deal over 1 million damage. This is enough to prove that Doughty is hundreds or thousands of times stronger than Xiaojin. After all, Doughty is an ancient beast. Not only does he master the law of fire element, but he also masters the law of power. His limit damage is at least 1,000 jing. Ye Chen also masters the law of fire element and the law of power, but his limit damage is only 5 jing. Strictly speaking, Doughty's combat power is far superior to Ye Chen, but Ye Chen has a higher resistance and restrains him.